Hey there, thanks for tuning into Duckbricks. I'm Chris, and in hand I have the brand new Summer 2025 LEGO Technic Wave. This is a pretty interesting one, focusing both on licensed models like some Fast and Furious sets, as well as just some general construction stuff that LEGO has created on their own. Let's dive into this brand new early look at the new Summer 25 Technic sets right now. So we're going to start off this review by taking a look at what I think is actually the most interesting of the three sets. This is 42210 Too Fast Too Furious Nissan Skyline GTR R34 car, and it retails for $140 140 euros, and comes with 1,410 pieces. We actually got a Speed Champions version of this vehicle just very recently, so I figured it made sense to compare the two next to each other just super quick. That was just 2 years back in 2023, the same exact car for 319 pieces and $25 plus a Paul Walker minifigure at system scale, and you can see that it actually is very close to the Technic version. There's a few things different, like the license plate for some reason has a different style of design, which I don't really know why they chose to do different versions for that, but other than that, everything is very close to comparing it to the actual LEGO system version of the car. And I actually think it's really cool that you have two different scales of a model being depicted with different LEGO building techniques, so I just wanted to showcase that there. What I really want to emphasize with this car though is the functionality. This has what might be one of the coolest functionalities I have ever seen in a Technic car like this. And it's a functionality that, one, isn't really that strongly advertised. I literally didn't even know what I was building until I put it together and realized how it worked, and it wasn't even really that well advertised on the box. But to be fair, I don't really know how you can visually showcase what it is without showcasing it in a video. So that's why I'm doing this video review. But before we get into that magical function, let's take a look at the standard functionality of the vehicle. Much like your standard LEGO Technic vehicle, this is steerable via Hand of God steering, as well as with the steering wheel on the inside. You have the piston engine, which goes up and down as you roll it back and forth, and that's done pretty nicely. It's utilizing some relatively new pieces introduced, I think it was last year or the year before, for the movement there, which I think are very smooth and work very nicely. And as you can see, as you turn the knob on the top of the car, you actually have the option to twist the steering wheel as well. Taking a look at the inside of the car cockpit here, there are all sorts of different gauges and speed dials here, as you would expect in a Fast and Furious themed vehicle, and instead of having two passenger seats, there's actually only a single driver seat, and then on the other side you have the nitrous oxide on one side, which makes sense given the actual source material from the movie. Taking a look a little bit more at the gearing mechanisms here, this is fairly basic compared to your standard LEGO Technic car, or at the very least I would say fairly standard. You have your gearbox in the center there, you have the steerable movement on the front of the car, and on the back you can remove the trunk, although there isn't really anything to do or see inside of there. It really is just removable for looks. But you might notice a mysterious knob right here sitting at the top of the car. What does this knob do, may I ask? Well, you're about to find out. When you actually deploy the knob, you can see that there are these little ball bearings on the underside of the car. How they work is the ball bearings go down when you pull the lever, and that slightly elevates the wheels above the ground. All of it locks into place, so basically you have no risk of it moving downwards. But then, something that you might notice is as I am rolling the car back and forth, the back wheels are spinning up really fast. And basically that function allows you to not only change the gearing ratio of the way the back wheels work, it also allows you to literally let this car drift, so you can actually have it do a drifting motion as you roll the car across the floor, which is so much fun. It's hard to describe just how much fun it is to move this around, and I think the back wheels are spinning so fast they're not even caught on camera here, but it is so satisfying to hear the gearing mechanism just spin up as soon as you switch gears here, locking it fully into place, as you can see, having these ball bearings drop down, which are really specialized and unique pieces, but allowing you to then have the back wheels spin a lot faster than the front wheels, and it's all just for looks. The wheels have no contact with the ground, but when you actually have the gear shift here, as you can see that's what the mechanism does, then you actually can have it be drifting and mimicking the actual real-life functionality of the vehicles in universe, but also just in real life whenever you're making cars drift. I just think it's genuinely a really cool technique. I have never seen a LEGO Technic car employ these ball bearings underneath the set to allow you you to lift the wheels up to make it drift. It's a really unique and innovative technique, and it's even added on to the fact that you actually have the back wheels spinning up even faster than they normally would be spinning, just to really sell that drifting motion. It's genuinely really cool, and it turned this car from a set that I honestly wasn't really that excited about to something that is actually one of my favorite LEGO Technic mid-scale car sets of all time, because that functionality is genuinely just so much fun to play around with. But that isn't all to this car. There's a lot of other things that you can do with the vehicle itself that really make it so much fun to play with, as well as some really interesting building techniques and new pieces and new colors introduced as well. But for one last time, let's take a look at how that drifting works, and yes, you literally can just have it roll very smoothly across the terrain like so, and it is so satisfying to do that. Opening up the side door here, let's take another quick look on the inside. You can see the way the seat is constructed, as well as the tanks on one side, where you can see that they are just pretty much just using standard LEGO cylinder elements to make those tanks, but there are some interesting new pieces introduced on the back of the vehicle. You might notice that the back headlights have one small and one large. Well, to accomplish that, they have recolored the LEGO T-saucer element in transparent red to allow for a smaller circle there. This is the first time we have gotten a transparent red version of this piece. Previously it did appear in transparent clear, but this I'm sure is going to be really useful for classic space fans. I'm sure a lot of sci-fi people are going to use that for guns on their spaceships or little bits of greebly detail, and I just love how we got that piece in trans red, because my imagination is already going into overdrive, literally, in terms of what different things you can do with it. Altogether, this is a set that really surprised me. I went into it not really being that excited for this build. I thought it was just okay. Just another one of the licensed Technic cars at this scale that we get every single year, but this genuinely surprised me by how cool and how fun it was to play with. Now, in terms of value, this set retails for $140, but it does come with 1,410 pieces. Mind you, many of those pieces are small Technic pins. A lot of them are little itty-bitty bits of gears and details, and for $140, this does feel pretty steep for me, especially for a LEGO Technic car. I think that I could totally see this retailing for maybe 110, at most 120, but 140 does feel pretty steep for what you get. That being said, I will say I was totally won over by the play function and the building technique to accomplish that this set immediately turned into one that I genuinely like just a lot more, so 140, in my eyes, with that really cool unique function, isn't that bad, if only it was advertised a little bit better. Moving on to the second largest set of the wave, this is 42209, the Volvo L120 electric wheel loader. The set retails for $120 US or 100 euros and comes with $973. And I will say right now, this should not have been more than $100. I think that 120 is too much for what you get, but setting that aside, let's take a look at the functionality of this build. It's kind of a midi-scale tractor sort of set, and it's something that we haven't seen in a while at this scale. It actually introduces a brand new bucket piece on the front of the vehicle, which I'm sure contributed somewhat to the price. It's kind of a mid-scale between the two existing buckets that we currently have in production, a really large one and a much smaller one, and this one kind of fits directly in the middle, which I think is a nice scale to have, and something that was definitely needed for the LEGO Technic lineup. Obviously, functionality is king here, and they're utilizing all sorts of different multicolored gears, making no attempt to hide the multicolored gears, and in fact, being very proud of the fact that there are so many different gears that allow this to function the way that the real-world vehicle is actually supposed to work. Well, how does this work? Basically, what you can do is there are 3 different gears on the top of the model, and the top one is super obvious. What you do here is you basically can steer the model back and forth and move it like so. What you can also do though is that you might notice the 2 back gears are hooked up via universal joints to the way that the actual scoop is mounted at the front. So twisting one of them allows you to raise and lower the scoop, and the other one allows you to move it up and down, and I think that is a pretty nice functionality to get. It's very simple in the way that it's built, and honestly there's not that much going on with the functionality. It is pretty much what you would expect, but it works very well. I think that this is a very well executed function, and it works exactly like what I would want a LEGO Technic set that has this functionality to do. It's genuinely really satisfying to twist these and watch how your actions allow it to gear veer up and down. While construction was never really my thing as a kid, so I don't necessarily think this would be the most interesting set to me, I can definitely see why a kid who's a lot more interested in construction or transporting things from one place to another would really love this set. It's a good midi-scale thing that, I mean, I want to say won't break the bank, but for $120, I don't think I can say that anymore, but at least it's not one of those gigantic Mondo-sized Lego Technic digger or construction vehicles that you really get priced out of. This one is clearly meant to be enjoyed with by kids, and played with by maybe slightly older kids, but kids nonetheless. And you can see how those universal joints are at work there, one of them even allowing you to, when you turn the wheels, actually have that motion for the engine to move up and down, which we're going to take a look at really quickly. You can lift up the back hood of the tractor vehicle, and when you move the wheels, you might notice that there are some piston engines on the back that spin on the back of the model as you move the wheels back and forth. It's a very simple function, all things considered, but it is made a little bit more complex by the fact that it has to run through the universal joints to allow the turning to actually work and be fully hooked up to the way this functionality works. So I think that actually is pretty cool. You can see that here in the back, the way the gears all spin is that basically when you have each of the four wheels moving in the same direction at the same time, then you have the engine spinning them like so. And it's just kind of like how real vehicles work. You have the engine driving the wheels here, and I think it generally is a really fun play function for those who just are interested in the mechanics of how stuff like this works. There's even some internal detail here that honestly didn't even need to be there, like an orange flex hose, which is basically covered up, other than the fact that it kind of acts as a wire going on the inside to add some more mechanical detail to the internal mechanisms. And all in all, while I do feel like $120 is too much for this set, it genuinely is a lot of fun to play with. The functionality works pretty perfectly, and it's really hard to complain about how it's built because it accomplishes everything it has set out to do. Just please, next time if you're gonna do that, make it $100. And finally, we can take a look at the smallest set of the wave, although smallest is relative because this is $65 or 60 euros and comes with 707 pieces. It's set number 42208 Aston Martin Valkyrie, and out of all the sets we've looked at so far, this comes the closest to being decent value. Still would have been nice to be 65 or 60, but I can see $70 in this vehicle, and I understand why they priced it like that. They actually recolored quite a lot of elements specifically in teal for this set, and I find that to be really interesting. We're also using these spring green bushings, which we have seen in some of the LEGO Botanical sets. Very glad we're getting different colors of bushings now, and on the inside, you can see that you have that movable engine for the inside of the car, which is actually on two different piston articulated points, which I think is very cool. They introduced a brand new LEGO Technic connector this year to facilitate this connection. It's basically a combination between two different Technic connectors mixed together to allow for 4 different connection points, and I think that's pretty solid. Altogether, I think my favorite thing about this is the color scheme. Teal is a really cool color scheme for a vehicle, and I can't remember the last time we got a fully teal LEGO Technic vehicle other than this, so I'm very happy with this set in particular and the color scheme. The only major complaint I have is the headlights just don't really feel right. They're basically just stickered elements. They are 2D style of tile pieces, and they just aren't that convincing to me, especially compared to the real vehicle. They look very out of place, almost like they are up or upwardly raised too much. So that's my only major complaint about the model, but everything else does make sense for a model at this scale. The steering wheel is not connected to the main steering, but that's alright for a model this small. Of course, you do have the doors that open upwards, and of course, the shaping of the rest of the vehicle is genuinely pretty well done. I think my favorite thing about all these Technic sets is, of course, the new engine. It is genuinely really satisfying to really roll this up and seeing it move very smoothly, but also move very quickly as well. And it's just a really cool piece of functionality that I'm very happy they managed to include in sets like these. Altogether, with that, we've about summed up my thoughts on the LEGO Technic wave for summer 2025. It's a smaller wave for June, but we're getting a lot more sets in August, including one I'm personally really excited for, the Lunar Outpost, which I always love it when LEGO Technic does more stuff like space or sci-fi, so that is right up my alley. But right now, this was a pretty good spread. This car also does tie in to the Forza video game, and you do get a little bit of a sheet inside the set allowing you to unlock it in the game, so if that's your thing, this does come with that too. Altogether, thank you so much for watching this early review of the LEGO Technic Summer 2025 wave. Let me know in the comments which are your favorites. Do you like them? Do you dislike them? Hopefully you saw something a little bit unique when I showcased that cool functionality for the drifting on the Nissan Skyline set, because that genuinely surprised me as well. I was completely taken aback by that function, and altogether, hope you enjoyed this mega review. So be sure to like and subscribe for even more LEGO news, reviews, discussion, and analyses coming your way very soon, and bye for now.